ActionAid International Uganda is implementing a 2-year project towards increased advocacy for women economic empowerment at local and national levels in Uganda.
This project is being implemented in the districts of Chibuku, Bodaka, Kumi and Kampala, and this project is focusing on evidence collection on women economic empowerment, what initiatives are known to work that we can then share this information with other actors and partners doing work around women economic empowerment. We are also working with different organizations who have signed up to our Women Economic Empowerment Coalition, and so far we have 31 organizations inclusive of Ministry of Gender, we have ICRW, we have CARE, and all these are key actors in work around women economic empowerment and research.
The primary goal of this project is to elevate women economic empowerment as a national priority by ensuring evidence collected is packaged and disseminated and ultimately driven into policy change to advance women's economic empowerment in Uganda.
So as CSOs, we have come up to create awareness in the communities to let the women know what their rights are. And we do this through empowering them to advocate for the government to be able to enforce the policies, because the policies are there, but the enforcement of these policies to see that the women are not inhibited from taking up leadership positions, from owning land, and also to be able to have financing. So the CSOs, their biggest mandate is to see that they create awareness and also try to advocate for an equal opportunity for the women and girls.
A lot has been done around women economic empowerment, but the evidence is limited to only a few who are directly supporting these groups. And one of the key challenges that comes from these women groups is most of the women fear formal legalization of their groups, or that's registering. So they are working in groups, but they are not formally working.
Access to justice for rural Ugandan women is impeded by high illiteracy rates. Several women cannot read and write.
Most of the women in this in various communities are illiterate or semi-illiterate, so it's hard for these women to assert their rights because they do not have the knowledge of what rightfully belongs to them.
The fact that women do not even know which areas do we go and report our cases to, yeah? Other than you knowing that you have a right to own this property, yeah? You have the right, but supposing that right is violated, where do you go to?
To change the narrative and give the women a better chance at fighting the injustices that continually engulf them, Nakatende Bakali Bamo Women's Group in Bodaka District, which has been supported by ActionAid, have taken it upon themselves to learn how to read and write.
Embera y'omumaka era n'okwega okuwandiika amalinago oba enyukuta egisookesya ogiweta mu lugwere ati cha naye nga niyo si omuluzungu omonu bamweta M.
They meet periodically in the makeshift classroom where a volunteer takes them through lessons.
Basaiza baiza batubuwabuwa aine kyaba iliku ngaiza uko batoize aleto omuntu batunda itakali oba niki oba igona oba nte iwo ula kyomeite nga kuletera iwo gwakuku ko bantu taizo wandika nawo bango ine kyomeite ku osoka no ulya kuno mulya ne msaiza wange waironko bakusaininga ne anu kikoba niki owakunyonyola wena notegeera awonogana nino kumanyana abanja bire kutunda kantu kange ku luguudo nino kumanya ekiro egizwiremu tigire kiro 10 ne siku sente imeka nimanya inti ekiro 10 bangulirirenga ku sente giti ijiba bampe sente imeka nino ukimanya kuba mumbati imaite banjiba niyo mugaso oguli omukusoma.
Christine Malinga, who now volunteers as a teacher for the group, says Men constantly trick their wives in signing sales agreement without them knowing the content.
Ilwa banga oba omusaiza ataka kutunda igona oba ndikeikeyo bakweta okuteeka ke sign okolotya kale kyoba ntakire tubite buli member abenga mbaite okola niki engeri yo kusayininga kwegamba ActionAid izire bakoba muwandike amalina ganyu omuntu abenga solo kuwandika no kusayininga okusinga okoboti nani onkuliroti nani onkuliroti be ebiziwe bitwagiryamu omusaiza kuleta kyoko wakuleta ni mulima ekintu ekyo kimukungwire tatakomanye gikyabire era tatakomanye kizwire mukitya omulima aba mutiyero ogwo n'ogaba maida ago n'abaduma aleta omusuuzi natunda oboto muwulyako atandika okukuba akuwulya ombulya ontaka kuniki ebintu nagwe twalimire kuitaka lile wanyu.
What needs to be done? Discussions have to happen. We call them positive masculinity sessions. These are meant to show the men that yes, the woman may be there, but her income is also meant to supplement yours. And together you can raise a family, you can supplement your income as a whole. We have men that are doing the opposite, or men who are actually supporting their wives and they're doing well. So we need more of this to speak to the rest of the fellow men. And that's why positive masculinity sessions are key. Male involvement in women economic empowerment is something we cannot run away from if we want to see women groups succeed, if we want to see changes in homes, if we want to see harmony and less gender-based violence in homes.
Christine Malinga uses her personal experience to inspire the women in her group to look out for their interest. Christine and her husband had wrangles that almost tore her family apart, but they reconciled and now happily together.
Sawe naingira obegairizi abari new charismatic oba twabaya ntumala wiki takobako oba njaba yeina ActionAid ebyo tutambulanga twama seminar tyanunga maita ati inze nizo ulamuwe yena maita ati omukaloni yakumbire nga maita nyo ibange ati andutandika okubangana nga tuwangana amagezi oba sharing ebirowozo zena wentumulanga solo kumpulira yene atumulanga akola niki era nga kibine ekyenyumire nga ko tonko percent ngati solo kumukopere cent olwembere yabayire nga maita ne nako percent okusasula kyaba niki ukalubo.
The Ugandan government is doing all it can to help uplift her women's economic empowerment agenda. This it has done through several projects like OEP, Emyoga, and the parish model, which is in the offing.
I think deliberate efforts needs to be put in place to ensure that women can be supported to register their businesses, that they have access to credit, and that we have credit institutions, whether subsidized by government or even privately encouraged, to ensure that they invest more in women as agents of social and economic transformation. I think government still has a long way to go to ensure that the women in this country are able to lead the economic transformation of this country, that we need policies in place where the markets are able to be made conducive places for women to be able to use them for their own personal economic transformation, that of their families, and the national transformation economically.
The challenge, according to women, is that the exhaustive paperwork and bureaucracies, while applying for the funds, hinders the access to these programs for most groups.
Yes, na potusalo tuto anaileleba forms zinguno, lelebesa forms zinguno, ekoto I signing ata from LOC1. Tonine jai egiso. Aso do bobeda ngonda I signing a oina kinete kwenye tene bobesi a forms zinguno ainyake kinangina. So do forms zinguno poti boyo tangina kwenye still through atiting. Jaibu bone ibongo kineresi bobe vinyaka sapo forms zinguno bobo ileleba ibobo le martebere bonu so ditida bobo. Konye stile ja esabongo kini konye bodo kape akukurantu kosi kede di boreni na insape rado munisiriguna akukurantu ne grupu kede ponela jare kosi business elo singarene na ado podcast di kulepe kirei kisi ngesa ina ni sadum na rengu na adum ni kapunungun konye stili kapunungun na potata cha sikere mama pese na rado pete tupite punela jara adum no grupu.
To help realize the full potential of the Ugandan women, deliberate policies need to be put in place to tackle the discriminative cultural practices.
To the legislators in the parliament and the government of Uganda, what I always want to tell them that they should not only look for votes in these vulnerable women, but they also should come back and sensitize them on the policies, the available policies in the country. The government also should come down to the grassroots and create awareness on the policies available. Because if you look at the most vulnerable woman, she doesn't even know the word policy. So you have to translate it to the local language they understand and to get, and she tells you, how will I benefit from that policy? And there is no any way you can answer that you will benefit. Well, the policies are there, they are well stipulated, but implementing them is a challenge. So what I appeal to the government is to work with the CSOs.
The current COVID-19 pandemic has heavily disrupted the progress made so far. Several women have lost livelihoods and are staring at a bleak future.
In Uganda and Africa, the woman still has the burden of taking care of the family. The mandate is on the woman, but when COVID came in and the lockdown, the woman was not, her hands were tied because she's not able to go to her garden where she's getting food for the household. She's not able to go and look out for the small monies that she can get from vending and doing all kinds of businesses. So the lockdown has kind of inhibited the sources of income for this woman to be able to take care of the household. And the other challenge is that the women have not been given another space of an alternative income, because with the lockdown, the challenge comes that all their businesses have collapsed, but the government is not coming up to say, maybe get assistance or this is an alternative source. So there have still been no assistance from the government to come and help this woman, yet at the end of the day, she's the one that is going to look out for the family at large.
To help get them out of the dark place, access to financial stimuli will be the key to a brighter future.
We are now looking at technology. We are now trying to teach these women that there are some products that they can access using their phones. We have come down to something that a lady can even access 50,000 using a phone. Meaning that when you are using a phone, you don't have to put in security, you don't have to ask for the husband's consent. So we are trying as much as possible to ensure that we bring on products that these women can easily be accessed. But this needs collective effort from the civil society for us to make sure that they get this knowledge. Without the knowledge, the women cannot improve on themselves.